Hey, welcome to the weekly wrap up. It is just me today, and we are live. We are here in Getting Started in Crypto. We are on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. So, hi to everyone watching there. And if you've just joined in, there's a replay. If you miss this live and you come back later, and we'll still be here on the replay. So, super awesome to be here. And we're going to jump in, have a look at BTC. Have a look at ETH, have a look at how horrible this market is, and a few alts, and let's get going. So, before we start going, I do have to tell you guys that we are now sponsored by Femex. You'll see the little logo in the corner there. Hang on, trying to move it there. Trying to get to the logo. And at the bottom, you'll see a referral code. Now, Getting Started in Crypto has a really, really cool deal coming. So if you can, sign up to Femex with that referral code, and we'll let you know in the next couple of days how you can get signals. So yeah, sign up, and it's going to be really super exciting. So before we do that, let's get into BTC and see how that's going, because it's pretty ugly out there. So this is our BTC chart. We were looking at this last week. We were looking at whether this was an X wave. Could be, may not be. When we put on some fibs on this, and we go thinking, this may not be an X wave. So if we take that off and we look at this as potentially being an impulse, today we hit on a fib. So that's a really strong sign. So if this fib here at 79.80K holds, then we are going to be going up from here. Maybe one more wave sort of sideways just to fill out this little bit here. Now, if we've got a strong pivot at 85,600-ish, so that's what we need to break to be bullish here. And then we've got that strong resistance, which we've also got the 200 MA on the 4-hour chart. So that's sitting at 91 to 92K, depending on what exchange you're on. So let's have a look at what this potentially looks like if it's an impulse, because it's getting really sort of dark and dingy out there, and our fear and greed index is super low. I think it went down as under 20, so it is looking pretty grim out there. So if we're coming to the end and we're at the start of an impulse, we have some waves here coming up. So this is our wave 1, we're coming down. This is our wave 2. We've reached a fib level on that wave 2, so there's potential it could be that. We could be seeing a leading diagonal. So what a leading diagonal would look like, and a leading diagonal can cross over. So that would be 1, maybe 2, like that on the other side, and 3. And then we're at that other resistance, the next resistance up. So if we zoom out and we have a look at the daily and where this resistance is, so we can see that we've got these resistance this one comes all the way back from the beginning. It's not drawn on this chart. The BLX has it. So you'll see that on the BLX. So that's the Bitcoin liquid index that goes to the beginning of time. This is a Binance chart, so with lots of logos on it. Let's take some of those off. So our next sort of resistance is about 117 on this pattern. So if we go back to that 4-hour chart that we were on, and we pull that back, and we see this as a leading diagonal, so we've got a breakout here. We go to about 107. We're about sort of a double top here. We hear everyone screaming that we're going to go down to 70 at this point because we're at a double top. We come back down, we retest that breakout region as support, which is about 89, 90,000. Then we keep going and climbing to about 120K on this pattern. Then we come back down. So then we might come back down and retest that region as support again. So this is quite sort of a choppy region, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get out. Now, if this is bearish, which it may not be at the moment, we're seeing that, as I was saying, that fib line. Now that means it's WXYZ pattern, so WXY and then the Z pattern. So that would come back down to about 74K if it's that bearish pattern. So we could get a double bottom in this area, which is about 78K. If we break that 78K, we are going to head down to that 3900, 74K. But because we're getting so really dark and bearish out there, it makes me wonder if we're getting this alternate pattern where we're getting the more bullish pattern coming in. So we're going to start seeing that if we start seeing Tether prints and USDC prints, they're both very important. They add the liquidity back into the market. We saw that last week where we got this pump to hold this region. This is a very important sort of pattern to understand, when we're looking at key levels. So, at the moment that's at fib level. We've hit that, we've bounced. Next level coming up, 85,800. If that breaks, we could go sideways. If this is bullish, we could have a triangle forming here. So basically that might look something like a really sort of ugly triangle like that. And then a breakout, just a little bit more consolidation in that region. And then we should see some momentum. So this region is kind of looking like we're sort of starting to transition into a more bullish momentum. We've got a settling in the waves, and we've got alts are super, super low. So they are seriously oversold. So that tells us we're nearing the bottom. They can still have little tiny waves coming down, but I'm going to look at a few of those in a moment, but they are looking seriously low and seriously oversold, and we need some money coming into the market. So it was pretty lackluster what Trump said, that they're just going to be reclaiming BTC, ETH, and all of that for their stores. Basically, what's happening is the IMF, who controls most of the money at the moment, is cracking down on BTC. So they've done it in El Salvador. They're doing it in all regions. So for that to kind of happen, we need to have the IMF sort of pull back a little bit and allow those Bitcoin reserves to happen. So I still think they're going to happen. I still think that's in the process. But a little bit of time, and we should see that sort of momentum start to change. We should also see those cuts coming in and the quantitative easing starting soon. So if it's not this month, it's definitely going to be April. So this is going to be a telling month where we're just buying the dips, DCAing. I don't think it's going to be that ugly at the moment. We start breaking down past 74, I'll start to change that view, but it's looking like we are changing momentum at the moment. So if we go and we have a look at the BLX, and we just kind of understand where we are in that pattern, we can see that we've got quantitative easing starting here. We've come back down. We've tested. I'm just going to pull this off. This is quite a strong move. Now, we've had quite a strong bounce on this as well. So we want to sort of have that moving up about 50%, which at the moment it has, and then continuing. So the next sort of resistance here, if we're looking at the BLX on this region here, is 93,600. When we go back from the beginning, this is this measurement that I was getting, so we can kind of see where the resistance is, matches with a Elliott wave formation and also a fib level. So that's at 117, 119, depending on what chart you're looking at. And that's going to be our next sort of really hard resistance. So once we sort of break out of this region and we start moving up, we're going to trade between this probably for a couple of months. It's going to come back to that, and then we'll crack that next level. But that's kind of what we're looking at the moment for BTC. So for me, it's not looking completely ugly. It is looking like we're still in this sort of, you know, what I'm calling Groundhog Day in getting started in crypto when I do the updates, because it is very boring, very tedious. And this is a test of patience. This is how much do you want to be in Bitcoin? How much do you want to be trading alts? How much do you want to be trading at all at the moment? So time to be building those bags, small, little, tiny buys as we go. And then as we start to see that real change in momentum, that's when you want to start placing those bigger orders. And, you know, DCAing into these regions is a good method because we don't know where the bottom is. There's a couple of different patterns, as I showed you, and that is definitely how I am doing it at the moment. When we have a look at Bitcoin dominance, we're sitting so flat. So we do need some momentum in there as well. And once we do get some momentum happening for the BTC dominance, we'll see that move on Bitcoin. So this is a chart to watch. I do think we might get a little bit of a pullback to about 59.60 for BTC dominance, and then a continuation up. ETH is looking completely ugly. So now we are right on this. It's broken down underneath the long-term support, and it is literally right on the, you know, the top of the wave one. So if this crosses down below that, it breaks pattern completely. There's another pattern where it can do that, where it's a leading diagonal. Not ideal, because that can come back a lot further. When we do look at ETH on the daily, we are really low on the RSI. It can go a bit lower. It has gone down to 21. In this range, it went down to 19, but it has kind of hit around those regions where we're sort of going, okay, ETH is getting to the bottom. ETH is starting to consolidate. It looks like we've got a lot of those sales have finished from the ETH that was stolen from Bybit, and that's starting to settle. So we had a lower low in this region, and, you know, it is consolidating. We're seeing on the MACD, we are starting to get the histogram flip up into the positive, and that's a really strong sign that we've got a lot of momentum coming in. So once we see some of that volume sort of coming back into the market, look for those tether prints, look for those USDC prints, and we will keep going. And hopefully we're not going to just keep going down, 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 down. It's just a bit ugly. So the total crypto market cap. Now, I haven't prepared this chart. I should have looked at it before. But we do have this wedge happening at the moment. And this is a very similar pattern to what we're seeing on BTC. Now, are we complete on that wave? Are we going to come back up, retest 2.95, and then sort of settle down in this region before breaking out? 3.49 trillion is a really pivotal region that we need to break on this, and that's going to throw us in to a long-term bull run. So we want to see that changing momentum, money flow. So we need to be watching as well media, and see not just crypto media, because crypto media is always going to be sort of pro crypto. We have our ups and downs, obviously, and we see that sort of that negative media coming into crypto media. But once we start seeing it on your major media, like they're reporting it on the Today Show in the morning, you're seeing it on just in general conversation on the news. It'll be in your local newspaper. When you're starting to see that sort of change, that's when we'll start seeing that money flow into Bitcoin. So what we're waiting on, quantitative easing, that should happen in the next month or so. We're waiting on those tether prints. So that's something we need to watch the whale alerts, and yeah, just watch these indicators because they are starting to show that they're changing momentum. Just still a little bit boring at the moment. So I'm going to quickly have a look at just a few alts because most of them are looking really ugly, and but they are, and I'm just going to show you a couple of them. Take all of this stuff off, just to show you where they're kind of sitting at. We can see that we've got, this is SUI SWI, and it is hovering down the bottom, so of this RSI. Now, I know everyone says don't do support and resistance on RSIs, but it is invaluable because we can sort of tell where we're getting to the bottom of these RSIs, where we're getting to the tops on these RSIs. Because a lot of the time you'll see they have got quite a strong resistance. Now, the way support and resistance works, if you've been watching me for a while, the fourth time it taps is really important. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and it pulled back. So it works the same as on RSI. Now we're going to see one more pullback across the board by the looks of it. So whether that's massive, this could, like, potentially, I'm going to just draw some lines, come up to here before coming back. So that would be in line with BTC retesting that resistance. I'll just jump back here, retesting the resistance in this region. And that would be alts just getting that last bounce before they do have that pullback. So I've got Millie, my 2 cents, Anchor, Edward, Sadie, and Liz. Hi, saying hi. So hi. So yeah, so just watch that. So what that's going to look like on a pattern for SUI is just coming up and finishing that last wave down. And then we're off. So we've then got enough waves in that pattern for this to start momentum and going the right, like, bullish way. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our wedge. And that then takes us, hopefully, into the run. So we're looking at a resistance at about 2.67 for this. And then coming back, maybe not. We might get that $2.10. And that's a bargain for this because this is a massive project. And I think this is going to just, like, rip when it starts running. So a lot of the alts are going to, because they're just so oversold at the moment. But we can see we've still got, we're trading in that channel on the RSI here. This is a 4-hour chart. Maybe one more wave down, one more wave up, one more wave down, and then we can start going. ENA, which is one that a lot of people have been asking me about. Now, this is showing consolidation here. We've jumped out of that wedge, that falling wedge coming down. We're now showing consolidation. Now, what I look for when we've got a momentum change is a curve. And we can see that that's starting to curve up. So any pullback here would need to hold about 3.7 because that's our curve. We can also see that on this daily chart, the 9 and the 21 EMA are starting to cross. They haven't crossed on that chart yet. So if we go back down, we can kind of see where we're going on that. We've had a cross on the 12-hour chart. So that means it's not far away from being super bullish. This chart looks like it's heading to about 0.54, and then a pullback needs to hold that sort of parabola, and then we will keep going. So we'll start getting some parabolic moves by the looks of it on a lot of alts coming up in the not too distant future. They are getting really oversold. So if we take this back up to the daily, just to have a look at how oversold, and we've got strong bullish divergence on this. So it came right back down to 25 and looking really good. And we can see, this is the other thing that I was showing you on the other charts. We can see that the histogram here has flipped to positive, and this is this region here on the daily. So we can see that there's strong consolidation here we've got strong consolidation there, and then that 54 to 56 is going to be that next resistance on ENA. And one more, I'm going to have a look at SEI, and I've got a request for BNB, so I'll have a look at that. Now this one dropped right out of that pattern, so that we saw last week. So, and we've done a lower low in this region. We're still above that at the moment, but this is what a lot of the alts have done. They've had, which is an X wave. So we've got 5 waves here. We've got a lower low. So that gives us what is known as an X wave. So it's a wave failure in Elliott wave, and it's come right down. So I'm going to put this all up to a daily chart so we can see that our overall pattern. So we've got, that would be our W, this would be our X, and we're coming down for our Y. So I'm just going to put some Elliott waves on that and show you what that looks like, WXY. And that would be our overall pattern. So this would be our wave 1. This would be our wave 2 correction. The next wave for most alts is a wave 3. So wave 3 in Elliott wave is the fastest, the swiftest, and usually the longest. So that is when we get the most money coming into the market. So that's what I was saying. Once we sort of hit that 3.49 trillion mark on that total, it's going to look really epic moving forward. So let's quickly put some projections onto this, and we'll get some fibs coming down. So our next sort of strong resistance is obviously that double top, which is 1.17. And then usually the wave 3 will go up to about the 786. Sometimes if we get a wave extension, it's going to go much higher. So that's at about 3.8. So looking at this pattern, and we take that and we just see where we are on these fibs, and we're kind of sitting on the 0.9 at the moment, just sort of hovering in that area. If we do break down, we're coming back down to about 15. If we get a next wave down, that is definitely when you want to be buying, because that's when you're going to pick up the biggest bargains, literally. So we need to be watching those pivots, that pivot that I told you on BTC. So if you're watching this live, wait to the recording, go back, write down those points, make sure, you know, if BTC is breaking those points, you want to be buying alts, because alt season is not far away. Now I've got 2 more requests. So I'm going to do BNB and Litecoin, and then we'll call it a day. But, you know, some good looking alts happening, really, really oversold at the moment, and almost starting to move, almost this close. So Litecoin, now you want to be watching, I keep telling everyone, you want to be watching what Litecoin, because Litecoin normally moves first. Hasn't, it's pulled back. So this is the daily. We're almost at the bottom here on the RSI. We want to just dip below a little bit and down sort of about 25. It might be a good buy for Litecoin. So far holding the 200 MA, which is a really strong sign. When we look at the histogram though, it's still looking really ugly. So I think we need a little bit more consolidation before we start seeing that volume enter and this momentum change. If I'm drawing my supports on my RSI, we're showing we've still got room for a little bit more. So this, we may just hold the 200 MA, but it may just pull back just a touch. So, and consolidate in that region. We don't want the 100 and the 200 to cross down though. And yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking at for the market. It's red. It's probably going to be sort of, you know, hovering in a Groundhog Day region for a little bit longer, until we do get that FOMC meeting. We do get some easing coming in. And once we have that, we're going to see some movement in the market. So just a little bit more patient, guys, and we will definitely get there. And don't forget, we are sponsored by Femex. So in the link here, you will see how to, like the referral code, make sure you use that. You don't need to KYC. You can use it without KYC and sign up. And I'm going to have a big announcement really soon and on how to get involved with that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and let me know on Twitter, on X, on Instagram, if you do want to see any charts. And of course, everyone in getting started in crypto, you can request charts in the chat and we're always there. So thank you for watching. Bye. If I can